Okay, looks like good morning, everyone. It is Sunday. It's not the usual day that I am doing my live streams, so I appreciate your flexibility. Um, it's last week was a weird week, and I'll tell you, just energetically, it was a weird week for me. Um, I mean, I got things done throughout the week I was supposed to, and all that kind of stuff, but I had on Thursday, I was working with my practitioner who she tests me like I test other people. And so it's always my turn in the barrel, and I think a good practitioner is always going to have another practitioner take care of them. When you're doing quantum nutrition testing or types of muscle testing, uh, or just general healthcare, it's always good to have an unbiased look at your health. As a practitioner, if you're practicing on yourself, sometimes things get missed, and that has been my experience over the years and whatnot. Um, so I had a massive energy clearing. The practitioner I work with also, um, oops, hold on, got a stream issue on one of my channels. Come on now. What is the major malfunction here? All right, sorry, Instagram world. We're not going to be streaming on that channel today. Apologize. But I will post the link out there after the show is over. Of course, if you're trying to watch me on Instagram, you won't know that I just told you that. But all right, so um, I went through. She started to get into her quantum nutrition testing with me, and she stopped suddenly, and she goes, "Oh, you've got some interesting energy attached." And she did some massive energy clearing, and I'm so grateful for her for doing that. It really set the stage. It opened the door to the wonderful weekend I had. Um, well, it's still the weekend. And it's an awesome weekend. Um, I wrote about the clearing episode on my Substack. So if you want to read about what that clearing was about, you can go to Beyond the Indicator Muscle is my Substack channel, Beyond the Indicator Muscle. And you will get to read what that clearing was all about for me. It was pretty intense. It was pretty interesting, and so it set the stage. And then Friday night, I went down to Hudson, Wisconsin, and participated in a breathing and sound healing workshop. And we got to lay on the floor on our yoga mats and all that kind of stuff. And it was just a wonderful body experience, somatic healing. Opened up the channels with breathing, did a lot of breath work during that session, and then there was another healer there using sound bowls and all that to create different frequency vibrations in the room, and it was just a wonderful experience to go through that, and I'm always a proponent of other alternative healing methods, healing modalities, and maybe I'll do a show specifically on some of the other healing modalities that are out there. And it it was really quite remarkable. And then on Saturday, I had some additional healing work done um, Saturday afternoon, and that it just it I don't call it coincidental. The string of healing episodes that I went through, I don't call that coincidental. I call that universally divine driven healing that unfolded for me, and it's been just remarkable to come out of that. I feel lighter. I feel more in tune with myself. more importantly, more in tune with the people that I'm around and working with and friends with and all that kind of stuff. It really has served to get me grounded again in ways that sometimes normal healing opportunities don't go to that level. But the last few days has reminded me how so important it is to also work on your energy body, and I'm, as a healer, an alternative healer, I am practiced in and studied and trained in different types of energy work. And I listen to my intuition, and I listen to my guides, and I take input from all of them. Um, and as I'm working with, my clients, now when I tell people that, some people are like, "Oh my God, he's of the devil," and all that, and that's all a bunch of bullshit. Um, if you're thinking that, that just means that you need more information about what's going on. Um, and I encourage you to take that time to learn about it. Don't believe that God would put those capabilities within the human body uh, and not expect us to use them. And so that's how it goes. So, just realizing, good morning, everybody. I am Dr. Jeff Evenson. I'm a board certified doctor of holistic health, and I am not a medical doctor. I do not practice medicine. But what I do practice, I don't diagnose, I don't treat, I don't cure. Instead, what I do is I help people with real health care. Okay. Um, and you've heard me say it before. I believe our medical system is so screwed up right now. I believe that it's profit driven and it's considered an avenue of sick care. And when you work with a good alternative or a holistic natural practitioner like myself, I consider myself pretty good at what I do. I don't say that out of arrogance. People ask. I would invite you to talk to other people that have worked with me and see what they say. But I'm very confident in my abilities and what I do when I'm working with people and helping them in their journeys. Because as a good healer, we also, a good friend of mine reminded me of this morning. We also must be working on healing ourselves. We have to have been through the healing journey, I think, to fully understand what our potential clients are going to be going through in their healing journey. And so it's important to know that the work that I do is also informed by my own health journey, which hasn't always been good. I'm a product of the Western medicine system. I've had multiple surgeries. Over the years, I've taken multiple prescription medications, and none of them actually got to the root cause of what was going on with my body. I regret that I had the surgeries. Knowing what I know today, I would not have gone through those surgery procedures. Um, But then the flip side of that is, if I hadn't gone through all of those things, I wouldn't be a holistic practitioner, perhaps, and I wouldn't be here talking to you about how to get your health back naturally and holistically. So there's that part of the equation when you look at it. So I've got a good show lined up today. The week, as I started out, the week was starting with, I'm not sure. I went all week. I was not sure what I was going to talk about for the show this weekend. I was supposed to go streaming yesterday morning. I did not because simply, I'm sure we've all been there. I had no idea what I wanted to talk about, what I should talk about. And honestly, I think I needed to go through the energy clearing process events that I went through this week to get me grounded and open up again to the possibilities. And I did that. And when I went to bed last night, I started to get the glimpse of what I was going to talk about today. And it might surprise you. I actually took time. I got up this morning and I wrote the show this morning and put it together. And I think it's going to be some pretty good content. And if you're joining, throw something in the comments. If you happen to watch the show later and something resonates with you about the show, post a comment. You're certainly invited to do that. And so let's welcome back to the morning coffee with Doc Jeff. Let's get into it. Grab your cup, settle in. Let's get real about health today, shall we? Okay. So everywhere you look, everywhere I look, everywhere you look, chronic health conditions are skyrocketing. Autoimmune disease, gut issues, fatigue, hormonal imbalances, depression, anxiety. Okay. The truth is our medical system does not have long-term answers for those problems. Sure, they can offer pills, as I said, they can offer surgery and symptom management, but that's not the same as true healing. In fact, when you take medications and manage the symptoms, that's all you're doing is you're covering up the symptoms. You're never asking the next question, what is causing the symptoms in the first place? And our medical system is terrible about pursuing that line of inquiry into your health. Deep down, we know our bodies were designed by God to heal. We were created with systems that can repair, restore, and thrive when given the right support. Okay? And that's why more and more people are seeking alternative options, because they're tired of chasing symptoms and they're hungry for real solutions. So today we're going to dive deep into three powerful pillars. We're going to talk about functional nutrition. We're going to talk about holistic lifestyle coaching and how quantum nutrition testing ties it all together for real root cause healing. And my goal is to show you that you don't have to stay stuck in the cycle. You can step into a different path. Okay, so let's get started. A lot of times, chronic health conditions, and they're the reason why people seek alternatives. And so, when I look at the health landscape in America, it's really sobering. Chronic illness is the new normal. It's not just rare cases anymore. Every family, every neighborhood, every workplace has people struggling. Autoimmune disorders, digestive breakdown, obesity, diabetes, chronic fatigue, mental health struggles. And here's the kicker, most of these are lifestyle driven, not just random bad luck. They don't just show up overnight. They're the result of years of stress on the body, nutritional deficiencies, toxic exposures, poor sleep, processed foods, and unresolved trauma. The list can go on and on and on. Now, the conventional model, it's built on a reactive approach. You get sick, you show up at the doctor's office, they run a couple tests, then they write a prescription. The focus is on suppressing the symptom, not finding the cause. And honestly, a lot of people get tired of that treadmill. I can't count how many clients have come to me saying, Doc, I've tried everything. The meds help for a little while, but the problem always comes back. Or another one pops up, they're exhausted, discouraged, sometimes even hopeless. That's the moment when people start to look outside the system. They think there has to be something else, something that actually helps me heal. And that's where holistic and alternative approaches come in. Not because they're trendy, but because people are desperate for answers that make sense. I'll be honest with you, part of my own journey was that same frustration. During my Navy years, I lived in a state of exhaustion. I chalked it up to shift work, stress, and caffeine. But even after I left the military, the fatigue didn't just disappear. I had to learn the hard way that if you don't address the root cause, your body eventually forces you to pay attention. It reminds me of the old adage, if you don't make time for your health care, for your body will give you the time, will make the time for you. And that's usually often when it's almost too late. You might be dead. And so this is why I believe so strongly in a different way of looking at health. Chronic conditions are not life sentences, they're signals. They're your body's way of saying something is wrong, something needs to change. And if we can listen, if we can investigate deeply enough, we can find the root and start to heal. That's why people seek alternative options, not because they've given up on medicine, but because medicine gave up on them. And I think it's time we start listening to those signals and helping people heal in the way that they were designed to heal. So, if I were to take a tagline out of all of that, a highlight out of what I just told you, it's this: chronic health issues aren't life sentences. They're signals from your body saying something has to change. And if you're just joining the show, say hi in the chat where you're at. Tell me where you're listening from. It's always fun to see where the audience is at. As I spill coffee down the front of my chair here. All right. So let's roll up our sleeves and talk about what functional nutrition is. You may have heard me use that term. It's on my website. The work I'm doing is in the category of functional nutrition. Okay. When people think about nutrition, so here we go. When people think about nutrition, the first thing that usually comes to mind is a diet. Right? Like the keto diet or paleo, the vegan diet or carnivore, Mediterranean, whatever's trending on social media. But here's the problem: diets are surface level, they're foodless, they're rules, and they're external. Functional nutrition? Well, that's different. It's about how your body actually functions. It doesn't just ask, what are you eating? It asks, are you digesting food? Are you absorbing nutrients? And a lot of times we'll see overweight people that are malnourished because their body is not digesting food or absorbing nutrients properly. And they become malnourished. Are your blood sugar and hormones balanced? Can your body detox and eliminate waste? And is your energy stable? See, it's not about the food alone. It's about the relationship between food and function. So why does this matter? Let me give you an example. Imagine two people eating the same plate of food: salmon, broccoli, and rice. One person feels fantastic, energized, clear-headed, satisfied. The other person feels bloated, sluggish, and crashes an hour later. The difference isn't the food, it's the function. One person is digesting and absorbing, the other one is not. So when clients tell me, Doc, I've tried every diet and nothing works, then I know we need to zoom out. We got to take a step back. And it's not about the label of the diet, it's about how your body's responding. That's what functional nutrition is all about. Because a majority of the clients that I have worked with over the years, and just about everybody's done it, we've all been on a diet. And we know after a while, diets don't work. Okay. And so I work instead in the world of functional nutrition. And I ask my clients to do food journaling because I want to study the food that they're actually eating. And that's the big impetus there. And once I start seeing that data come in, then I can start recommendations on how we should work with your body and how so that it can function better with the food and make sure we're getting the right foods in there and turn on the function. Okay. So There are pillars of functional nutrition. Let me break it down into some key pillars that I look at with every client, and just about with every client. The first one is digestion and absorption. Okay. If you can't break food down, you can't use it. So the red flags for that might be bloating, reflux, constipation, undigested food in your stool, constant hunger. So some of the simple fixes for that might be chewing thoroughly, slowing down, adding bitter foods like arugula or lemon water before meals, and making sure meals include cooked vegetables instead of only raw, if you eat vegetables. Sometimes I may invite you to eat vegetables. I'll eat vegetables, but for me, sometimes it doesn't always feel like I want to eat vegetables. I'll primarily just eat the protein. But maybe that's based on how my body functions around the food of vegetables. The second pillar is blood sugar balance. Okay. Most people are on a roller coaster. There's a spike, there's a crash, you crave, repeat. Spike, crash, crave, repeat. So the signs of blood sugar that your blood sugar is out of balance: fatigue, irritability, anxiety, needing coffee and snacks all day. The key principle here is build meals around protein, healthy fat, and fiber. Eat starches last on your plate, not first. That one change alone can flatten out your blood sugar curve. And what that means is get the protein and fat in the system first. That's going to start working its way ahead of any starches, because it will slow down your digestion a little bit and you won't get a slam from the blood sugar change. The third pillar, inflammation and immune load. Okay. With chronic inflammation, chronic inflammation underlies nearly every modern condition. Almost all of us have some kind of inflammation. And when the inflammation is up, that can be a punch to your immune system too. Common culprits for inflammation are processed foods, seed oils, sugar, alcohol, hidden food sensitivities. And so functional nutrition comes in and it works to lower the fire through real whole foods, omega-3s, colorful vegetables, and strategic elimination of irritants. That's where I like to study your food journal. The number 4 pillar, detox and elimination. Your body has to take the trash out every day. If you're constipated, your liver is backed up, or your lymph is stagnant, your body just recycles these toxins. And so nutrition supports through fiber, hydration, cruciferous vegetables, and minerals. And the 5th pillar here, energy and mitochondria. The work we do for some people is down to the mitochondrial level in every single cell. I have nutrients that are designed to get energy down to the mitochondria, to get down into the cell and help the mitochondria clear the cell out. All right. So energy and mitochondria at the cellular level, nutrition fuels energy production. And so without the right nutrients, we're talking B vitamins, magnesium, amino acids, your cells can't make ATP. That's why fatigue is one of the biggest complaints that I hear. Cells can't make ATP. There's something interfering with the mitochondria in the cells. And so we have processes we have supplementation and herbs and homeopathic tinctures, a lot of different ways we can get into the cell, start clearing it out, and get the mitochondria back up and running to create ATP, to create energy that the body needs to do that. Now, food is information. Okay, this is the part I want you to hear. I want you to catch. Food is not just fuel; It's information. Every bite that you take tells your body how to behave. It tells your gut bacteria which ones to grow. It tells your pancreas whether to pump out insulin. It tells your immune system whether to calm down or get fired up. When we shift the information we're feeding our body, the whole system starts to shift. And that's the beauty of functional nutrition. So if you're eating shit food all the time, your body's function is going to be what? Shit. I'll give you an example. I walked into a Whole Foods store last week, and the first display that came up was organic grapes. Okay. When I saw that, my body had like a physical reaction to, holy cow, it wanted those. So I put them in the cart, and sure enough, it's like I was savoring every grape that I was eating off of that bunch. So it's pretty cool. But let me share another real example, without names, of course. A client came to me with afternoon crashes, brain fog, and bloating. Okay, she was eating healthy. Okay, healthy, the air quotes, by conventional standards: yogurt and granola for breakfast, a salad with chicken for lunch, and pasta with veggies for dinner. On paper, that looks fine, but functionally, it was a disaster. The yogurt and granola spiked her blood sugar first thing. The salad was raw and cold, which her inflamed gut couldn't handle, and the pasta kept her on a glucose roller coaster at night. So I didn't put her on a fad diet. We rebuilt the meals functionally. Breakfast became eggs and sauteed greens. Lunch was leftover protein with cooked vegetables and olive oil, and dinner added starch at the end of the meal, not the beginning. And within 2 weeks, the crashes were gone. Within 6, the bloating disappeared. That's functional nutrition. It's about restoring how her body worked, not following diet rules. So here's some practical anchors that you can start today. You can take these home right now. Aim for 25 to 30 grams of protein at each meal. When I tend to eat, I'm probably much more than that. I'm probably upwards 50 to 75 grams of protein at each meal. But I'm also a 6'3" guy. I do strength training 5 days a week and all that, so the extra protein is appreciated. But aim for most people, aim for 25 to 30 grams of protein at each meal. Half your plate should be vegetables, mostly cooked if digestion is weak. You can drink mineralized water, add a pinch of sea salt and lemon, and then stop grazing between your meals. Eat your meals, then let your body rest. Cut out the 4 biggest irritants for 1 week: processed seed oils, refined sugar, refined flour, and alcohol, and see how your body responds to that. The takeaway: functional nutrition isn't about perfection. It's not about being good or bad with food. It's about restoring function. It's about helping your body do what it was designed to do. When digestion, blood sugar, inflammation, detox, and energy production are working the way they're supposed to, healing becomes possible. So if you've been chasing diets, counting calories, and still feeling stuck, I want you to hear this. The problem isn't your willpower, the problem is function. And the good news is function can be restored. So here's some clip-worthy highlights from the segment. It's not just what you eat, it's what your body can do with what you eat. Okay. Another clip is: food isn't fuel, it's information. And then lastly, functional nutrition isn't about diets, It's about restoring the way your body was designed to function. And it's really quite remarkable when you get to that. Um, when you get to that. So I'm pulling up something on the screen for a little bit later while I am thinking about it. There we go. That one. Let me just move this up. All right. Okay. So we talked about functional nutrition. So, and that handles the food and how it functions with your body. Okay. Now I'll go into the other part of the service that I offer with every one of my clients. And that is, let's talk about something that's every bit as important as food, and that's lifestyle. Okay. And what I do is holistic lifestyle coaching, health coaching. Some people call it health coaching, wellness coaching. I do all of that. It all fits under holistic lifestyle coaching. I love that moniker because, but I also like health coaching too because it covers kind of all of it. But see, you can eat the cleanest diet in the world and still not heal if your lifestyle is out of balance. And I've seen it hundreds of times. Clients come in frustrated. They're eating organic, they're taking supplements, they're working out, but they're still tired. They're inflamed and stressed out. And the reason is simple, really. Healing doesn't happen in a vacuum, it happens in the context of your life. Let me say that again. Healing does not happen in a vacuum, it happens in the context of your life. And we're going to break that down a little bit. So that's why I practice holistic lifestyle coaching, and my approach is rooted in what I learned from the Chek Institute. Paul Chek is a phenomenal uh, master in all things human body, and it's just wonderful. And I followed him. I've not met him in person, came close, but I've taken a couple of his programs for holistic lifestyle coaching. Someday he's got a third level. I'd like to take that someday, but that's going to require, I believe, 7 days of actual study at his location out in California. And I don't know if I can give up 7 days for that, but which would mean 9 because you got to travel and get back. Anyway, this is from the Chek Institute, and he's got a system that teaches you to look at the body, mind, and spirit as one integrated whole. And that's what holistic is: mind, body, and spirit. And so, as I opened the show with the story about how I underwent some healing with some energy clearing, the practitioner, the healer that I was working with, is a holistic practitioner, and she also is aware of the energy body. And sometimes we have to work on healing the energy body. That's not the physical body. The physical body is this, what I can touch. The energy body is the energy within and extends out of the body and away from the body. And science has actually been able to measure the energy body, and it typically extends out 2 to 3 feet past the physical. Okay. Science has actually measured heart energy from the heart itself, up to 12 feet away from the body. Okay, so what does that tell you? It's fascinating. It's a fascinating area of study. So, from a holistic lifestyle, there's 6 foundational principles, and I will start with sometimes all 6 of these with people, but I tailor it, and because some people aren't ready for all 6, and we'll just slowly move into. We may start with a couple and start to expand out, but just know that I bring all of these to the table. And so let's talk through the 6 lifestyle principles. First one is breathing. Okay, it sounds interesting, and I told you I did a breathing workshop. I was in a breathing workshop Friday night, this past Friday. It was phenomenal. Most people don't realize they're breathing in a stressed, shallow pattern all day. And that keeps your nervous system in fight or flight. And so coaching may start with simple breathing drills, slow diaphragm type breaths, diaphragmatic breaths to calm the system and bring oxygen back to the tissues. We want, and what I'm talking about, the diaphragm breathing it's really bringing in the belly, expanding your belly out so your lungs can actually fill with air. If you just do chest breathing, you're not keeping the space open for your lungs. The second pillar is hydration. Dehydration shows up as fatigue, headaches, joint pain, even emotional volatility. I coach clients to drink half their body weight in ounces of clean water every day. You can do mineralized water, you can do distilled water, you can do spring water. Just don't do tap water if you live in the cities. Tap water out here where I live, I have my own well, that's a different story. I know there's nobody dumping chemicals, well, not intentionally anyways. There could be ground chemicals from wherever. But if you're drinking soda, coffee, or alcohol all day, your cells are starving. Okay. As I say that out loud, I drink coffee every morning. It may be time. Somebody pointed out that it may be time to take a break or a hiatus from coffee for a while. And they're not wrong. So the third pillar here is nutrition. We've talked about breathing, hydration. The third pillar is nutrition. This connects right back to the functional nutrition we talked about. It's not only what you eat, but how you eat. Are you slowing down? Are you chewing? Are you blessing your food? And paying attention to how you feel afterward. Okay? Blessing your food. When there are times I say prayers and I bless my food, thank you, Father, for this food I'm about to eat, yada, yada. I can go on with that. But sometimes I will instead place my hands over my plate and just talk to God and do an energy clearing and ask that the food I'm about to eat will come in and nourish my body in a way that it needs to be nourished. And I'm grateful for the food and clear the food from any negative energies and all that kind of stuff. Because, when you're out to eat, you don't know who's preparing your food in the back room. What if you have a chef or a cook that is just having a god awful day? They're angry, they're pissed, and that energy can actually get put into your food. And so, as I say this out loud, I feel like I want to recommit to actually taking the time to energy clear and energy bless my food before I bring it into my body. Okay. And that's not meant to be a slam on who's preparing your food. I don't think they're not trying to put angry energy into your food and all that kind of stuff. I don't mean to imply that. It's just a good practice that you can get into is just mindfully clear your food and before you bring it into your body. The fourth pillar is sleep. And I can't tell you how many people are shocked when I ask, how many hours are you sleeping? And they admit it's 5 or 6, and it's broken up by scrolling on their phone in bed. Sleep is the body's number one recovery system. Without it, your hormones, your brain, your gut, all of it suffers. Okay? The fifth pillar here is movement. Movement isn't just about exercise. It's about circulation, lymphatic flow, and posture. We need both working in exercises like walking, stretching, yoga, strength training, or walking, stretching, yoga, and working out exercises like resistance training. And the balance matters. Okay. So 5 days a week, I do strength training, and every day of the week I also do some type of cardio work on most days that I can. And the cardio work, if I'm walking around, I have a Garmin watch that tracks all my steps. I try to shoot for at least 8,000 steps a day. So I can get those 8,000 steps by going out and intentionally walking and getting those walking toward those 8,000 steps. Or if I'm having a super busy day and I'm working here on the homestead, by the end of the day, I may have exceeded 8,000 steps just by being here and doing the work. Okay. So I have a LinkedIn comment. I don't usually see comments from LinkedIn, so welcome. You can post your name there if you want. It just came in as a LinkedIn user. I'm hoping it's an actual person and not just some LinkedIn bot. But they said this approach really shifts the perspective from just managing symptoms to truly understanding our bodies. Curious to learn more about quantum nutrition testing. Well, good. Welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here. So the last item, thoughts and emotions. Okay. This one might be most overlooked, the most overlooked, thoughts and our emotions. Because what you believe about yourself, what you say to yourself, the stress you hold on to, all of it becomes biology. And if you've studied Bruce Lipton, you will know this. He calls it the biology of belief. Your belief system, everything can impact and inform the cells in your body how to function. So if you're talking negatively about to yourself and about yourself, you can actually be introducing suppression into your body. And that's why it's so important. To me, it was so important as a reminder because I've gone through stretches in my life where I was just down deep in the pit of, I'll call it the pit of despair, the pit of dysfunction, stinking thinking, all of that is a quote that I picked up when I was studying Dr. Wayne Dyer in one of his books. How you think, so shall you be. Okay? How you think, so shall you be. And so coaching helps clients identify these destructive patterns and replace them with empowering ones. And I'm not afraid to have those conversations with people to say, look, and I've had people super, super stressed out from their jobs and all that kind of stuff. And after a while, and I don't make the recommendations lightly that, maybe you want to consider changing your job. And I've had that happen. One was a school teacher. She came in constantly stressed about her work. And it reached a point where my recommendation was maybe you need to find different work. I didn't say quit teaching or anything. Maybe it was a different grade that would have been better, or teaching a different subject or a different location, all that. But she came in for one of her update visits and proudly announced that she quit and hadn't felt better in a long time. She felt really good about letting that go. And folks, I'm telling you, if your job is stressing you out to the point where you're having trouble concentrating, you're having trouble making decisions, you're always frustrated, you're getting it's creating resentment, it's starting to impact your relationships with your spouse or your partner or even your children. Those are red flags, and you need to find a different job or figure out a way to make peace with the job that you're in because it's impacting your health. And I can speak from experience. I've had surgery on my stomach because of the stress of my job. 20 years in the Navy brought that on me with a lot of other things I won't get into today. But those outside circumstances definitely can impact your health. And if your health is in the shitter, take an honest assessment, take a step back and look at your thoughts and your emotions. When I was working in my second career, I'll call it that, And this happened too when I was in the Navy. I reached a point where I woke up in the morning and I exactly knew that it was time for me to leave that job. It was time for me to retire from the Navy. I knew in my heart of hearts that it was time to go. The same thing happened to me again because the second career, I was just over 19 years in that, it was sucking my soul dry. And I knew that I had to get out of that job. And so I put my 2 weeks notice in, and ever since I haven't looked back. My life has skyrocketed because I'm doing this job full time, which I absolutely love. This is where my passion is. This is where my purpose is. Helping other people get through all the shit and get their life back into balance. That is my purpose, my passion. I love doing this work. Okay. So why is lifestyle a deal breaker? Okay, let's get real. You can spend thousands on supplements and protocols, but if you're living on coffee, sleeping 4 hours a night, rushing through every meal, and never taking a breath, your healing will stall. Your body only heals when it feels safe. And lifestyle is what tells your body you're safe. You can repair now. That's why holistic lifestyle coaching is at the center of my practice. It's not an add on, it's the glue that holds it all together. So here's a case example. A client came to me a while back with stubborn digestive issues. She had been on every elimination diet that you can imagine. She was down to 5 foods and still bloated. And so when I looked at her lifestyle, this is what I found. She was only sleeping 5 hours a night. She ate standing up at her desk. She was drinking 4 cups of coffee and barely any water. She hadn't exercised in months. And so sometimes we don't start with exotic supplements. We start with the basics. Get to bed by 10. Drink half your body weight in water. Sit down and eat. Chew slowly. Take 3 breaths before her first bite and walk 15 minutes a day. And within 3 weeks, her bloating was cut in half. Within 8 weeks, she said she felt like a new person. That's lifestyle. That's how powerful these simple shifts are. Okay, so I've got some highlights here. 1, you can't out supplement a broken lifestyle. You can't. Number 2, healing only happens when your body feels safe. Lifestyle is what tells your body it's safe. And nutrition, third one, nutrition builds health, but lifestyle makes healing possible. Okay, so in all of my programs, we are always going to work with lifestyle. I'm going to not only study your food that you're eating every day, but we're also going to study the lifestyle. What are you doing? How many times are you pooping every day? What is your sleep like? What time do you go to bed? What time do you get up? Did you wake up during the night? What are you doing for exercise, movement activity? Are you getting outside and breathing? Are you taking a moment to sit and actually have food in peace without feeling like you got to rush it down? Okay. So this is in my foundations. Phase 1, I'm going to track your sleep and hydration. We're going to set realistic movement goals. We're going to build simple morning and evening routines, and we'll explore stress release practices like journaling, practice, or prayer, or meditation, or contemplation, whatever you want to call it. And it's personalized. Some people need to fix their sleep first. Others need stress management. Others need more movement. And the coaching that I do isn't about a cookie cutter plan. It's about identifying the 1 or 2 habits that are bottlenecking everything else and tackling those first. And so here's what I want you to take away. Your lifestyle is either working for you or against you. There's no neutral. Every choice that you make, how you sleep, breathe, drink, move, think, either builds health or breaks it down. So if you feel stuck, maybe it's not the diet, maybe it's not the supplement, maybe it's the lifestyle piece that needs attention. And that's where holistic lifestyle coaching comes in. It's about teaching you to live in alignment with how your body was designed, so healing becomes not just possible, but inevitable. I've had countless conversations with people, even talking about boundaries, teaching yourself how to, those people around us, we have to teach them what our boundaries are. Okay. And that's not a bad thing for people. I've had many conversations like that with people. Okay. So the final clip, the tag you can take out of this is you can eat the best food in the world, but if your lifestyle is out of balance, your healing will stall. Okay. All right. So now let's connect the dots. We've talked about functional nutrition. We talked about holistic lifestyle coaching. Now I want to connect the dots and we're going to talk about quantum nutrition testing. We've talked about chronic conditions and why people seek alternatives. We've unpacked functional nutrition, how food restores function. We've walked through lifestyle coaching and how it creates the environment for healing. But there's still one big question left. How do we know what your body actually needs right now in this moment? And that's where quantum nutrition testing comes in. So what is QNT? Quantum nutrition testing, or QNT, is the tool I use to listen to the body on a deeper level. You can think of it like tuning into the body's frequency. Every organ, every tissue, every toxin, every nutrient resonates at a specific vibration. And when something is stressing your system, it throws that vibration off. Through quantum nutrition testing, I can tap into that feedback using direct intent-based energy testing, or what I call frequency attunement testing, to identify the stressors weighing your body down and the nutrients it's asking for. If you happen to be in my office in person, I practice quantum nutrition testing with muscle testing, which is derived out of applied kinesiology. And it gives me still the ability to have a direct biofeedback type conversation with your body. And I get that information through the muscle testing responses. So why does it matter? Let's be honest, the human body is complex. You could spend thousands on lab tests, try endless supplements, and still be guessing. QNT cuts through the noise. It says, this is the priority, this is what your body wants addressed first. It's like opening up a roadmap. Without it, you're driving blind, hoping you hit the right turns. But with it, you've got a GPS telling you exactly where the roadblocks are and how to clear them. I use quantum nutrition testing to guide every single step of the way through a person's program because the responses are unique for the person I'm working with. There's no cookie cutter here. I'm not going to create a program and say, here you go, good luck, see you in a few months. No, I work with you. I put you in a program. We're going to work together and we're going to solve the mystery together with quantum nutrition testing. We'll solve the mystery of functional nutrition and the holistic lifestyle coaching with quantum nutrition testing. So some examples. With QNT, I've seen clients light up when we finally uncover the missing link. Parasites that were draining their energy. Mold toxins overwhelming their liver. Food sensitivities sabotaging their digestion. Emotional stress stored in the body showing up as fatigue or pain. Deficiencies in key minerals or vitamins that no blood test ever caught. And here's the kicker. QNT doesn't just tell us what's wrong, it tells us what will help. It points us to the right whole food supplements, herbs, or support strategies that bring your body back into alignment. So let me share a case story. A client came to me exhausted. She'd been to multiple doctors, had stacks of lab tests, and the only solution offered was antidepressants. But she knew in her gut something deeper was going on, and there usually is. Through QNT, and this is why I say that antidepressants, your body does not have an antidepressant deficiency. You're not looking for a deficiency. You don't have a medication deficiency. Okay. I get it. Sometimes you have to, but it's imperative that you figure out what's causing that symptom of depression. Through quantum nutrition testing, it discovered that her body was signaling mold stress and a heavy parasite load. And we also saw her drainage pathways were sluggish. So her liver and lymph needed support. I built a protocol tailored specifically to what her body asked for. And within 6 weeks, her energy was up. By 12 weeks, her brain fog was gone. She told me, this is the first time I feel like my body is finally healing, not just being managed. That's the difference that QNT makes. So how it ties into nutrition and lifestyle. Let me tie it back to the bigger picture. Functional nutrition lays the foundation by restoring digestion, blood sugar, inflammation, detox, and all those things. Holistic lifestyle coaching creates the environment for healing, sleep, stress, movement, hydration, mindset. And Q&T reveals the hidden stressors and the priorities your body wants addressed right now. So together, these three create a complete root cause system. Nutrition builds the bricks, lifestyle sets the stage, Q&T gives us the blueprint. Okay, so why does this matter? Here's the truth. Chronic conditions aren't random, they're signals. But the signals can get confusing, and you may feel fatigue, but is it blood sugar, mold, parasites, or emotional stress? You may have gut issues, but is it food sensitivities, low stomach acid, or a backed up liver? Q&T helps me decode those signals. It tells me what's stressing the body and in what order to address it. And when you follow that order, the healing that seemed impossible suddenly becomes possible. So, a couple highlights in this segment. Quantum nutrition testing is the GPS of healing. It shows you where the roadblocks are and how to clear them. The second one, Q&T helps us listen to the body's frequencies and uncover hidden stressors that no lab test can explain. And the third thing, nutrition builds the bricks, lifestyle sets the stage, and Q&T gives the blueprint for true root cause healing. So if you've been chasing symptoms, trying diet after diet, stacking supplements, hoping something sticks, maybe it's time for a different approach. Functional nutrition restores function, lifestyle coaching creates safety and balance, and quantum nutrition testing ties it all together by showing us exactly where to start. If your body's been crying out and no one's been able to connect the dots, Q&T may be the missing piece that you've been looking for. And that's why I offer a full Q&T assessment as the starting point for many of my clients, because when you fully uncover the root cause, you can stop managing symptoms and start building health. If you go to my website, evensonholistic.com, I'm still running a special. Right up on the top banner is a code that you can type in, Health Truth, to get $200 off that initial full assessment. Normally it costs $350. So $200 off brings that price down to $150, and you can get a full Q&T health assessment. Because when you finally uncover the root cause, you can stop managing symptoms and start building health. So stop guessing, start listening. Quantum nutrition testing helps us uncover the root cause so real healing can begin. All right. So let's step back and reflect for a moment. We've walked through a lot today, okay? The reality of chronic health conditions and why so many people are searching for alternatives. We dug into functional nutrition and how it restores the body's design. We looked at holistic lifestyle coaching and the 6 foundational principles that can make healing possible. And we brought it all together with quantum nutrition testing, the blueprint that reveals your body's true priorities. Here's the message I want you to walk away with. Your body was designed to heal. Chronic conditions are not life sentences, they're signals. And when you stop chasing symptoms and start uncovering root causes, everything changes. Now, I know some of you listening today feel stuck, okay? You've tried the diets, you've taken the meds, you've done the protocols, and you're still not where you want to be. You might even feel discouraged, wondering if you'll ever get your life back. I want you to hear this. There is hope. There is a path forward. It starts with the foundations. It starts with listening to your body instead of fighting against it. That's why I created Phase 1, my foundations program. It's where we begin together. Restoring digestion, balancing blood sugar, improving sleep, reducing inflammation, and clearing out those lifestyle bottlenecks that are holding you back. We lay the groundwork so your body can feel safe enough to heal. And when you're ready, quantum nutrition testing takes us deeper, uncovering the hidden stressors and mapping the order of healing. Again, if what I've shared today resonates with you, I invite you to take the first step. Schedule a full Q&T assessment with me. Let's stop guessing and start building a roadmap that's uniquely yours. You don't have to do this alone. That's why I do this work, because I've been there. I know what it's like to feel exhausted, broken, and overlooked by the system. I know what it's like to feel like shit all the time. And I also know what it's like to come out the other side stronger, healthier, and living with purpose again. So today I'm inviting you, take the leap, step into the journey your body's been waiting for. So before I close, covered a lot of ground there. Let's see here. There we go. I want to share this. Let me add this to the scene. I always share this, try to give an opportunity here. Couple ways, couple things on this slide. I wrote a book about holistic health and quantum nutrition testing. If you're interested in that, you can pick one up here in the office, or you can scan this QR code, use the camera on your phone, point it at the screen, and follow that link, and you can order that book from Amazon. If you do that, thank you for ordering the book, and more importantly, read the book. Some good information in there. Okay. Second thing on here is a QR code you can scan, brings you to the same area on my website that I told you about. Schedule a full Q&T assessment. Code Health Truth. That'll get you there. And then the third thing, if you're looking for some personal growth type stuff, there's a great Wake Up Warrior Challenge. I love the Wake Up Warrior Challenge. It's a 3-month program. It's self-paced. It's all online. Phenomenal program. All right. Now, what I'm really excited about is, it's already September 21st. I am speaking at the Quantum Leap into Health Conference 2025, True Healthcare, October 3rd, 4th, and 5th, down in Orlando, Florida. I am so excited. I'm sharing the stage with many of my mentors. It's very humbling when I look at it. It's such a big deal for me to be able to go down there and speak. I can't wait. I'm getting excited, getting a little nervous, and all that kind of stuff. All the things that one might feel when you're going to speak on stage. But here's a code: if you're in healthcare, practicing holistically or medically, and you're interested in holistic, this is a conference you're going to want to go to. And if you can, go for the VIP gold tickets. You're going to get so much information there. This barcode right here, this QR code, scan that, and it'll bring you to the registration page. And there's 3 levels of tickets out there. They may be sold out of the VIP gold tickets. I don't know. So it might be too late for those, but you can still get into the conference through the silver or just the regular Quantum Leap ticket. Okay. You're not going to regret going to that conference. It's phenomenal. Last year was phenomenal. It was a game changer for me and what I learned in that conference. So, all right. So let's close in prayer today. Father, I thank you for every person listening right now. Thank you for the bodies you created, so fearfully and wonderfully made, with the ability to heal and thrive. I pray for encouragement for the weary, for clarity for those confused, and for courage for those standing at a crossroads. Lord, guide each of us to the steps we need to take for healing, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. May we walk in the fullness of the health you intended for us. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, folks, remember, you don't have to stay stuck. Healing is possible when you focus on nutrition, lifestyle, and uncovering root causes through quantum nutrition testing. Thanks for listening today. Love you guys. We'll see you next week.